It was the kind of evening that sparkled with opulence. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceilings, reflecting the soft golden light across the marble floors of the grand ballroom. The city's elite had gathered for the annual Viridian Gala, and everyone was eager to see the enigmatic millionairess, Victoria Langford. Known for her fierce business acumen and unapologetic charm, Victoria was both admired and feared. But tonight, something unexpected was about to unfold. Victoria, dressed in a deep emerald gown that hugged her figure flawlessly, made her entrance with a confident smile. Her hair cascaded in perfect waves over her shoulders, and the diamonds around her neck glittered like tiny stars. Beside her, her husband, Henry Langford, followed politely. Henry was a quietly successful man, often overshadowed by Victoria's larger-than-life personality. At 42, he carried an understated elegance, in a tailored tuxedo that spoke more of refinement than flamboyance. The night was filled with laughter, champagne clinking, and the low hum of polite conversation. Victoria was in her element, commanding attention as she recounted stories from her latest business ventures. But as she moved through the crowd, a small but influential group of investors approached Henry. They spoke in hushed tones, exchanging looks of disbelief and admiration. Henry nodded politely, listening carefully, though the crowd had no idea of what was truly happening behind the scenes. Victoria, feeling a playful spark of mischief, decided to make a scene. She had always loved a dramatic moment, especially one that reinforced her dominance in social settings. Spotting Henry at the edge of a conversation, she strode over with a sly grin. Without a word, she grabbed a nearby glass of red wine and, with theatrical flair, tipped it over his crisp white shirt. Gasps filled the room. The wine spread across the fabric, dark and vivid, leaving Henry stunned. "Oh, Henry. How clumsy you always are." Victoria laughed, her voice ringing through the room. Guests turned their heads, some covering their mouths in surprise, others whispering eagerly. Henry stood frozen, the cold red liquid soaking through his shirt, his usual calm demeanor shattered for the first time in years. "Victoria, really?" he said, his voice steady but his eyes flashing with a mix of embarrassment and quiet rage. Victoria didn't respond immediately. She simply laughed, enjoying the spectacle as if it were part of some well-rehearsed performance. "Everyone, look at him. My dear husband, always so serious, and now, so stylishly ruined." Her laughter was both intoxicating and cruel, her sharp wit cutting through the air like a blade. The crowd chuckled politely, unsure whether to admire her confidence or sympathize with Henry. But amid the chaos, a subtle shift occurred. Henry reached slowly into his pocket and pulled out a small, folded document. The wine-drenched shirt and the public humiliation seemed to melt away his composure, revealing a quiet triumph in his eyes. Victoria noticed the movement and tilted her head curiously. "What's that, darling? Another secret you're hiding?" she teased, still unaware of what was about to unfold. Henry unfolded the paper and held it out. "Actually, Victoria, this is the biggest contract we've ever signed. For the Langford Corporation." The room fell silent. Victoria's laughter froze mid-air as she took in the document. Her eyes scanned the bold signatures and official seals, her mind racing. The contract represented a multi-million-dollar deal with international investors, a deal that would secure their company's dominance for years to come. And she had humiliated the very man who had just sealed it. For a moment, Victoria's emerald eyes widened in disbelief. The weight of realization struck her like a thunderbolt. She had spent the evening relishing Henry's embarrassment, unaware that every smirk, every taunt, had been directed at a man who had just secured their largest achievement yet. Henry's voice, calm and measured, broke the silence. "You may have humiliated me in front of everyone, Victoria, but it seems I've been busy securing our future while you were busy making a scene." The crowd watched in stunned fascination. The tables had turned so subtly, yet so completely. Victoria, ever quick to recover, forced a polite smile and tried to regain her composure, but the moment had already shifted irreversibly. She realized that her husband's quiet confidence and strategic brilliance were far more powerful than any theatrical gesture she could muster. As the evening continued, whispers followed Victoria wherever she went. Some admired her resilience, while others marveled at the irony. Meanwhile, Henry, now slightly more relaxed despite the soaked shirt, moved through the crowd with a subtle air of authority. Investors approached him, eager to discuss the contract, unaware that the wine-stained shirt only added to the spectacle of his triumph. Later, in the privacy of their mansion, Victoria confronted Henry. The laughter of the evening still echoed in her mind. "Henry, how could you let me make a fool of myself like that?" she asked, a trace of both frustration and admiration in her voice. Henry smiled softly, gently wiping the remnants of wine from his shirt. "Victoria, the world sees what you want them to see. But the truth is, I've always known how to play my part. You focused on the show, I focused on the result." Victoria shook her head, realizing that her carefully crafted persona had met its match. She had underestimated the quiet strength and intelligence of the man she thought she controlled. In that moment, she learned a valuable lesson about humility, patience, and the power of subtlety. The following weeks brought a new dynamic into their lives. Victoria, humbled but not broken, learned to respect the silent authority her husband wielded. Henry, confident and composed, continued to steer their empire toward unparalleled success. And though the gala incident became the subject of whispers and gossip, it also became a turning point, a story of irony, triumph, and unexpected revelation. In the end, the wine-stained shirt was more than a symbol of embarrassment. It was a reminder that true power often lies not in flamboyance, but in quiet, strategic brilliance. And for Victoria and Henry, it became the night that transformed their relationship, not through conflict or domination, but through understanding, respect, and the subtle dance of minds equally matched. The Langford name would continue to shine in the world of high finance and luxury, but the story of the Millionairess, her humiliated husband, and the unexpected triumph behind the scenes would be remembered long after the gala lights dimmed.